What's the worst case of helicopter parenting you've seen? I used to work at a place in the university during college. We had a few parents come in and ask for jobs for their college-age children in person, without the student's knowledge. If they came in with the student in tow, that would be even worse. We also had parents who would call on the phone doing the same thing. Naturally, a lot of the students were from out of state, so I don't know if they drove up just to ask for the job or whatever, but that is even more scary. It was very awkward, and this was quite a while ago for me, so it's not like it's a recent thing. I don't understand parents who try to get their kids jobs like that. Your child is an adult, they can do it themselves. My boyfriend has been apartment hunting for a few months now, and I found one that I thought he would like. I tried to get in touch with him, but I knew he was busy at work, so I called the realtor and asked for the application. Apartments go almost as fast as they are listed, so I had to jump on it, but explained that it was for my boyfriend, not for me. When I hung up the phone, I laughed because I felt exactly like one of those parents. Then, I took him to the office to drop the application off, and the guy working there was like, "Oh, you must be boyfriend's name's girlfriend." Haha, yep, helicopter girlfriend. It's the only time I have ever done anything like that. My son told me about this one 5th grade overnight trip to nature center. Kid's mom went, was only parent, that wasn't a teacher, to go, had a complete meltdown when she was told that her kid would be sleeping in cabin with other kids and not her. She was told this before trip as well. 4 teachers per cabin, basically overnight school. He said she basically spent the entire night outside watching the cabin, really creeped everyone out. Man, the rant she went on Facebook. At least her friends and family called her out on her nonsense. Imagine quite a few people got blocked that day. Oh my gosh, that reminds me, when I went to 5th grade science camp, a fair number of parents came along to chaperone, including my mom, and they did stay in the same cabins as us. At some point I washed my hair, and the other mom in the cabin flipped out at me for going about my day with wet hair. Like physically stopped me and tried to roughly towel dry my hair. Need I remind you, my own mother was present. I believe my mom ultimately stepped in to be like, "What the heck, back off." So weird. I think I recall that same mom flipping out on another girl for wearing mismatched socks. Tried to befriend this guy who was 18. Introduced him to one of my wife's single friends. His mom went to dinner with us and drilled us with questions. We went to a movie after. Luckily his mom didn't go, but ended up missing the first showing and had to watch a later showing. He mom was furious that her baby boy was out so late partying with us. He wasn't allowed to go out with us again. He's 26 now. Saw him a couple weeks ago at the store and his mom was walking a few feet behind him. He has 2 older sisters that moved away as soon as they turned 18. One moved to Mexico and the other moved to Japan. We live in Kentucky. I now know why they moved. Introduced him to one of my wife's single friends. Unrelated, but is it common to introduce single people to other single people? Because everyone knows I'm single and almost no one has tried introducing me to anyone. It's not uncommon. This was more of a they have a lot in common, so let's invite them both to a movie and maybe they will take it from there. His mom showing up really killed most of it, but both were painfully shy and didn't talk much. My son's befriended the new kid in middle school. Homeschooled through elementary school years, but parents wanted him to interact with kids. He's a good kid. Smart, but guarded and sheepish, but he got along great with my sons. They want to have a sleepover. He gets dropped off, and his mother hands me a list. Had to be 4 pages of his routine, dos and don'ts and everything. Adam is not to have anything to drink after the hour of 8 p.m. He needs to brush his teeth with the toothbrush we sent him with. He needs to be asleep by blah blah blah. I have 3 kids. I can keep a 12-year-old kid alive for 20 hours without a list. She would text me non-stop. I felt bad for the kid. I'll let him know, listen, if you bend a few of these rules, I'll never tell your mom if you won't. And he had this huge smile. I'm not sure what kind of people helicopter parents think they are creating, but it can't be a fun one, that's for sure. I can keep a 12-year-old kid alive for 20 hours after that though, all bets are off. I'm on 42nd attempt, and can't seem to keep any alive past that 21st hour. Any advice? This dude is 19, 20, he still lives at home, so his mom takes this as she can still be as helicopter wire as she wants. Before I hung out at his house without his mother's knowledge, he had never had someone over. His mom insists on meeting the parents of everyone he hangs out with. She gets wildly upset if she doesn't get a reply from him by even 5 minutes, even if his phone is dead, and he has zero social skills BC of her. My mom is a lot like that, but I don't live at home anymore. The worst part about that parenting style is that they won't and usually can't see how they hurt their child's development. They always think the complete opposite, and it's infuriating. Every time I try to explain it to her, I get shot down and told I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not a parent. I hate that parent-child communication is so often a one-way street. I have so much input and things I need to get off my chest, but it's like talking to a brick wall. I felt like this with my mom growing up too. I never felt like I was being heard, and developed a complex about it as I got into my 20s. We have a neighborhood newspaper, and a real estate agent with kids always writes an oriole on the first page. Her youngest kid is going off to college this fall, and this article was about what to do in the empty nest phase. This woman's advice was this might be a new and quiet chapter of your life. One college parent activity that's growing in popularity is buying a condo near the campus. For some parents, this offers the chance to visit their fledglings while having a stable and familiar place to stay. How about parents not do that? If my parents had followed me across state lines to college, just no. Honestly, the only reason I'd expect my dad to show up at a college I go to still in HSWU is because he has to be there for one of his own alumni things or whatever. My college, and I would guess most colleges, have moms and dads weekends each year here. Dad's weekend coincides with a home football game, and mom's weekend is later in the spring semester, once the weather starts to warm up. And no one was ever looked down upon for their parents being there that weekend. But buying a house near campus is way too much. This is my sister's experience, but she taught kindergarten for a while, and she had a kid whose mother wouldn't let her play outside if it was below 70 degrees, and told the school she was allergic to dairy, but then admitted she lied about that because she couldn't trust that the school wouldn't serve her spoiled milk, so she thought it would be easier to just say she was allergic. Also, the kid was coincidentally sick and had to stay home from school on every single field trip. This is depressingly common. A lot of schools around where I'm at require doctor's notes for proof of allergies. I can't imagine not being let outside if it's below 2170. That's literally room temperature. When I was in kindergarten, it had to be below -21-6 in order for you to not be allowed outside, which is still several months of the year where I live, but that's besides the point. Oh, great, the hypochondriac by proxy. I'll bet you anything that kid got actually seriously ill later in life because her mother's coddling meant her immune system never developed basic immunities. In college, a girl's mom stayed in her room with her the first week of our freshman year, went to classes with her, ate with her, and attended our dorm meeting, introducing herself as Crystal's mommy. She finally went home, and Crystal had obviously never learned to do anything on her own. Her roommate dated a guy in my floor and would tell us about her daily, multiple calls home. She didn't know how to do laundry, so mommy paid roommate to do it for her. By midterm, Crystal was failing all her classes and had basically just given up going to class as it was too hard. Again, mommy shows up, stays 2 weeks, talks to her professors, then pulled her out of school. I'm curious what she's doing now. Hopefully she broke out on her own and gained some independence. I'm curious what she's doing now. Hopefully she broke out on her own and gained some independence. Probably married a guy who will take care of her like her mother did. Of course the mother probably found the guy for her. If that is your boat, then by all means float down the river in it. I'm in college, living off campus with my 20-year-old roommate. She has to be in contact with her mom every single day. If she doesn't answer within a few hours, her mom gets extremely anxious about where she is and what she's doing. Her mom has called me more than once to see where she is. Usually, I'm within 40 feet of my roommate, and she's just doing homework or watching cable. It's ridiculous that she's being monitored like a hawk when she's an adult. A word. My mom is like that, and honestly it's exhausting. Exhausting is the right word. I'm almost 25, and she still does it. I snorted at your comment. My 18-year-old son had his first year at college, starting last fall. My wife and I would find a text message he'd send to be remarkable, because it was so rare. Every now and then I'd send him some mail, or an email, but for the most part we expected him to take care of himself. Worked just fine. My cousin was 15 the first time he did dishes. When my brother and I were taken from our parents I was 8, and he was 2 years old. We were sent to live with my grandparents, and as the oldest sibling I had to do all of the chores. Flash forward 8 years after that, when I was 16 and he was 10, I still had to do the chores because he is too little. Drove me insane. Some words to show this should be in the past tense. I wish I was still 16. I'm 15 and have never done the dishes. Is this bad? BTW, my parents are very far away from helicopters. I can pretty much go out with friends whenever I want tbh. It's not great. You need to know how to do dishes, do laundry, and cook basic meals for yourself before you're 18. You're making your future life so much more difficult if you don't. I had a 19-year-old move in with me once when I was like 24, and he had never done those things, and it was a nightmare living with him. A friend's parents are hyper controlling. He was on a date and sister called the parents because she was filling out the FAFSA but was stuck. Instead of saying, call your brother, mom drove 2 hours to their college town, tracked him down on his date, and then brought him, but not the date, to the sister's apartment to do it for her. Mom also came to the town when the sister said she saw his motorcycle parked in front of someone's house after dark. It was not his motorcycle. It was just another shiny red motorcycle. The helicopter parent seemed to have influenced a helicopter sister. Sounds like she's the golden child and he's the scapegoat who is supposed to serve and help her at all times, or she'll tell mommy who'll make him obey. Not an untrue assessment. Guy is a great human and a good friend, but the parents are so controlling that neither kid really has independence skills. They're forced to help each other with everything, and if they don't, the parents step in to make it happen.